Welcome back to Main Street Living. Quincy, summer holidays like Memorial Day and the 4th of July are times that we gather with family and friends and remember people or events that have shaped our country, right?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, Cheryl, last year we gained a new summer holiday, Juneteenth. It's celebrated on June 19th. So, what exactly is Juneteenth all about, right? Well, lucky for us, we have Dr. Theresa Ford here to enlighten us and share a lot of what a lot of people don't know. So, welcome to Main Street Living, Dr. Ford.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem. Last weekend, we celebrated the newest federal holiday called Juneteenth. Now, I'm from
Yes.
Texas, so we've known about it in Texas, but a lot of other people didn't. And I think we've all heard the word, but how many others are not really quite sure what it means, right? So, can you just start us off with a little elevator version of what we're celebrating on June 19th?
Absolutely. Elevator version. We're celebrating the freedom of all people. And I'm going to say it that way because without June 19th, which had excluded some enslaved Africans, or some call them slaves, they weren't included in that July 4th document. So we are celebrating the freedom of all people, of all Americans. And we are celebrating the fact that in Texas, that holiday, June 19th, June 19th, 1865, is what we are paying reverence to. And June 19th is like a precursor to the July 4th holiday.
Ah, nice.
Interesting. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this. So, did the story actually start with the founding of our country in 1776? Explain the correlation there.
Did the story start there? I would say that that's okay to say that the story started there. 1776, the Declaration of Independence from Great Britain. We are a young country. So that document is extremely important. But for all, when reading the document, especially going to that second paragraph where it says, it is self-evident in so many words that we hold these truths, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, the rights among them of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So in 1776, we know that in this country, chattel slavery, the bondage of human beings, was alive and well. So when we read that, it is not including everyone. So yes, we can say that it started there. But I will also add that sometimes we start our history there. And maybe I can answer or make comments on this question a little bit later on. But for sure, the documents of the United States, we're going to start in 1776.
Wow. So you mentioned history, right? So I remember history classes. We were taught that slaves were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. So is that what actually happened?
Yes, we were taught that. You were taught that. I was taught that. Probably all of America was taught that. And it's how can I say? It's a misnomer. But let's take a look at that document. Let's take a look at that document real quickly here. So in that document, it says from Abraham Lincoln that he says, on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall be in rebellion against the United States, shall then henceforth and forever be free. So the key word there is states in rebellion. So we have to remember that Abraham Lincoln wanted the Union to stay together. So he was really pushing as a politician to the Confederate States, if you will, that if you secede from the Union, this is what's going to happen because you are in rebellion. There were states in the North, slave states, slavery existed, but they were not in rebellion. So to say that that document freed the slaves, not really, not really. But it's easy to say that because that's what we do sometimes. We just kind of say things and we read, we skim.
Right.
But when we really look at that document, the states in rebellion, and then there are more stories to follow regarding the Emancipation
I can
Proclamation.
imagine.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You know so much history there and knowledge. I wish we had more time to talk with you about all of this, but Juneteenth, a very important holiday. Tell us before we go, why is it important to honor this holiday? And I'm so glad now that it's federally recognized.
Absolutely, because it is so important again because it now pulls in everyone, we the people. It now includes those African Americans, not only in Texas who received the information 2 months after the Civil War ended, at least that's one date that we have, which was in April of 1865. And some will say 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation and prior to the 13th Amendment, which is truly the document, Amendment 13, that is the document that abolishes slavery. So it is important that we recognize all Americans. It is important that we read our documents. It is important that all are able to celebrate. Frederick Douglass asked the question, what to the slave is the 4th of July? Well, June 19th is kind of an answer to that. So it's a celebration of freedom for all. It is a time to get with family. It's just a lovely time. Sometimes we celebrate for no reason. Here's a great reason because we are all Americans and we all want to celebrate we the people.
Oh,
Beautifully said, Dr. Ford.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Ford, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. You're such a treat.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, well, stay with us here on Main Street Living. We're doing all kinds of celebrating, and coming up next, we're going to celebrate Pride with an amazing scientist.